So folks, good afternoon. You're going to hear from me in a bit, but I did want to turn it over to my boss, the president and CEO of the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. He'll say a few words, and then hopefully you won't hear too much about us. You'll hear from our esteemed consultants, and hopefully we're going to hear a lot from you. So with that, Bill?
Let's hear from Orlando. Come on. Thank you. I'm Bill Talbert. I'm the CEO, and I've just come from a meeting with 15,000 delegates at the Miami Beach Convention Center. What's called the $1 Million Roundtable, and they're looking to come back. So with that said, as you can see from my hair, I've been around a long, long time here, and we were here by a show of hands. That we're not here for Hurricane Andrew. If you weren't here, we're not here. We're not here. You weren't Schnebley not here for? Wow. Delray. Yeah. Oh, well, it was pretty tough here, right, Steve? I mean, this place was leveled. On the books today, Hurricane Andrew is a Cat 5. It was a Cat 5. It was reclassified. So this town was leveled. So we're in hurricane season. In fact, as a result of that, your convention bureau, the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, got a grant from the Economic Development Administration of the Department of Commerce, and we hired a young kid. Was that Rolando? He's no longer that young, who did a great plan. So we do this about every 5 years. To tell you how we have evolved and the destination has evolved, 5 years ago, we had 5 town halls. This time we got 15. We've evolved, the destination has evolved. So this is number 11, I think. 11, I've been to 10 of them. So we're saving the best for last. So I know Mayor Porter was here before. The mayor, did he eat and run? No, he's gone. We've got Avis Brown. Where's Avis Brown? Avis Brown, thank you for being here. And then we have Jennifer Bailey. Thank you. Julio Gusman. Look at this guy. He says he has a high metabolism. So I know the mayor was here and he had another place to go. And we have a couple of folks, colleagues, friends, mayor's manager. Steve Shiver, you were manager or mayor and manager and everything. So, and I saw the name outside, Shiver. So thank you for being here. Also, we've got, where's Marlon Hill? I saw Marlon Hill. Oh, there's Marlon. Marlon, thank you for being here. Great community leader, great future ahead. So also, there's Mayor Porter. Mayor, come on up here. Come here. Come on up here. No, come on. He did this on purpose. He waited. Mayor, talk about how much you love your convention bureau and how much trout. No, this is, I think Steve asked me, we're going to roll out the plan. No, we want to hear from you about the future of travel and tourism in this great community. So we have no preconceived notions. We've got some outside consultants, but each of these events has had a different personality. Elected officials, appointed officials, people off the street. So we're here to listen. You're not going to hear from me again. So Mayor, we want you to give a welcome, please. Anybody want to hear from the mayor? No, please, come on.
30 seconds.
No, look, this is a partnership that we need because we are part of the whole tourism package, and especially the agritourism package when it comes to the whole of South Dade. And a lot of times, I'll speak for myself, we kind of feel like we're left out, but Bill and his team has really reached out to us over the last few years, and it feels more like a partnership, than it has. Now, Julio and Councilwoman Bailey, Jennifer, They're the elected officials. No, not yet. We need one more. But look, it's I think we got to meet in the middle, and we got to realize our strengths and weaknesses. And one of the strengths is you're here tonight, and you brought your team down here, and you're looking for that partnership. And these people are here tonight to create that partnership, because sometimes people forget from North Dade that we are part of Miami-Dade County. But it's fantastic that you're here. I'm glad that you and I are not the only two white-haired guys in the room. I'm sorry, silver, bright silver. But Bill and I have always laughed at each other or complimented each other on the fact that we're definitely silver-haired, definitely. But that's because we've worked hard to earn this. But look, we need these people to come down. They need to be a part of us. We need to be a part of them. We need to create that partnership and that relationship. I can tell you, these two people out here, these two elected officials that are here tonight, they want this partnership. We want you to be down here. And
We got a Florida City representative over here too. Where's Florida City?
hey, Miss Butler, how are you doing, lady? I didn't see you. But we're half of a street apart. There is no difference between Homestead and Florida City. But, keep us in mind as we go forward, and let's continue to build a very solid relationship going forward. We're doing things in Homestead, Florida City's doing things, and just include us. And again, thank you very much for being here and extending that olive branch.
Okay, Rolando. Mayor, thank you. And I'm giving it to Rolando. I'm going to sit down. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. I'm getting a little silver in my hair. When I first started at the Bureau back in 1994, it was about 2 years after Andrew, and it took about a while to get that grant. I remember working with Warren Zeiler, God rest his soul, back in the day. Bill talked about a lot of the government groups, but I think there's some really key business groups. And again, the Chamber, Kerry Black, we've got TIVA, a lot of folks with TIVA, the Tropical Everglades Visitors Association. Thank you, Brian, especially coming down to downtown for all our meetings. We appreciate that. I see a lot of great businessmen in the room. I know we've got Robert and of course Peter and many, many others. And I think that's the partnership that the mayor and of course Bill are committed to. It's great to have government support, but ultimately it's about business groups coming together with a unified vision and mission. And that's what this process is really about. I know that we have been partnering, and hopefully a lot of you know a little bit or a lot about us. Quick overview for those of you that don't, and that's okay if you don't. We are the official sales and marketing organization for all of Miami-Dade County, from North Dade to South Dade, from South Beach to Hialeah. That is something that we are, contractually obligated to do through our partnership with the county, and it's something that we're proud to do, and we feel we do a great job, but we can always do a better job, and that's what this process is about, developing the roadmap for the next 5 years. We do that in a variety of ways. From, Bill talked about this massive convention at the Miami Beach Convention Center. So we're the organization that works with meeting planners and books those conventions, sometimes many, many years in the future. And you would ask yourself, well, how does that help South Dade? If the convention is large enough, those hotels start getting filled up on the beach and downtown and the Gables and the Grove. It creates compression, and ultimately it does influence the room rates throughout the county. So there is that benefit from those conventions. But we do advertising. We do, of course, our websites. We have a dedicated effort for cultural tourism. And I think this facility, this theater, represents a real opportunity for us to expand our cultural tourism efforts and make sure that this venue, which has some amazing programming, is an integral part of that process. We have a lot of research that is available to all of you that is, at no cost. And I sometimes struggle that our closest partners sometimes use our resources the least. So that's something that we want at the right time to share with you. But as you can see, we have a lot of sales and marketing efforts. We've got targeted efforts, cultural tourism, LGBTQ marketing. We have an amazing multicultural marketing department, which within that area, we are now training small businesses on how they can take more advantage of this community's #1 industry, which of course is travel and tourism. So we could spend another 2 hours just talking about the things that we're currently doing. But more importantly, it's what we want to do in the future. And hopefully with feedback from you, facilitated by some great partners, we will develop the roadmap for the future, not only of this industry, but also to some extent how we as an organization need to evolve to make sure that we stay in lockstep with that evolution. So let me transition real quick. Did want to bring up this briefly because we are, yes, our home office is in downtown Miami. Some of you have been there, but we do have a fairly global footprint, as you would expect us. Tourism to Greater Miami is global. 2/3 of our, a big chunk of our business are from many countries from far, far away. So what you see here on those little dots is where we actually have a representative that is working closely with us, helping us develop sales and marketing efforts, doing social media activities, facilitating missions. So when there's a lot of outbound activity, we can do it very cost effectively. So we do have a fairly large footprint. We have a small office in Washington, D.C., which is what helps us bring more and more of those meetings and conventions. So just want to give you a quick snapshot. Some of you hopefully are aware that for many years now, and I think the mayor alluded to that about, hey, don't forget about us in South Dade. A lot of people think all we do is promote South Beach. And that's okay for you to think that. That's not the reality of what we do. And for many years now, when you look through our websites, through our marketing materials, through our social media posts, through our brochures, I would tell you that South Dade is on equal footing with most of our neighborhoods throughout the community. We are about promoting neighborhoods and regions. Candidly, we don't need to promote our beaches. People know that about us. They know about our amazing nightlife, and that's something that we're proud of. But more and more, and for many years now, what we have been focusing on is promoting our sub-regions, our communities, our neighborhoods. That's what visitors want. They want these authentic, organic experiences. And it's interesting because those two words, authentic and organic, I mean, what better words describe the South Dade area and what's happening in this area? And at the right time, we can demonstrate to you on how we're doing that and, frankly, how we can do more of that. But we are so mindful of promoting the assets of South Dade, Little Havana, Little Haiti, Hialeah. We want people to stay longer. So how do we get them to stay longer? To explore more, to go to different parts of our community regardless of where you're staying. So that's something, and we've done that through a campaign called Found in Miami. And that campaign goes out of its way for all the right reasons to show these authentic, organic experiences that are happening throughout this community. These are just some snapshots of some of the things that we've recently done. But we can show you reams of images and brochures. We collaborated with the South Dade More to Explore campaign with some of the commissioner's offices recently. So there's a lot that we're doing. Candidly, I think we need to communicate more, a better job of communicating what we're doing so that you can be aware of it and then you can provide feedback. Okay, you're doing that, that's great. These are some of the gaps. And this is what part of this process is. So we want this to be very open dialogue. Okay. All right, I'll try this one more time. You've seen a lot of boards with a lot of numbers. We're not going to go through them all, but needless to say, I would hope that all of you appreciate the significance of travel and tourism, the jobs that it creates, the taxes that it generates, and not just sales taxes, tourist taxes. A lot of those taxes go and are reinvested into some of the things that you and I can enjoy as residents of Miami-Dade County. But it is ultimately about jobs, and I think travel and tourism equals jobs. There probably isn't a job in this community that isn't directly or indirectly touched by travel and tourism in some way. And this community's success in real estate and finance and all those other industries can trace their success and their roots back to travel and tourism. So we're very proud that we're this great platform for a lot of other great industries to come about. So let's switch gears. Let's get into the main event, and that is talking about the future. As Bill alluded to, we do this every 5 or 6 years. to help us do our strategic plan, to help us develop this roadmap. We identify a consultant that can help facilitate this. It's done for a variety of reasons. One is their expertise, and two is their independence. So yes, we're here, but they they have been engaging many, many community stakeholders for several months now. We launched a very comprehensive process, as we do for everything. Every important selection that we do as an organization is done in a very open RFP committee-driven process. So when we put out the word, hey, it's that time for our strategic plan, we got a lot of interest. We advertised. We had 14 people that provided some interest, 9 submitted proposals. We had a committee. These were the groups that were interested, and these are very high-end groups. If some of those names you may recognize, Boston Consulting, Ernst & Young, Deloitte, these are really high-end firms that do this for a living. But after that process, and it was a very competitive one to say the least, the committee recommended that we go with Intravistas, and we are ecstatic. They've been our partner for several months now. The great news is that they have resources in Miami-Dade County. They actually have resources all over the globe, but in a moment I'm going to turn it over to them to tell you a little bit more about themselves and then to start facilitating the dialogue. So they've been a true asset for the process thus far. They already have experience in Miami-Dade County because they're the ones that also help the airport, our main airport, bring more international flights from around the globe. And that's critically important for our success. The more flights that we have, and recently we've added flights from Israel, from Turkey, from Morocco, these flights are like highways coming into our community, bringing more customers, not just for vacation, but for conventions and business. So with that, let me go ahead and turn it over to Intravistas and Sonia Murray, who's our project manager. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Rolando. Thank you very much. First, I want to say thank you so much for coming out and sharing 2 hours of your evening. I know you have limited time, so we really appreciate your being here for sure. And we very much want to hear your thoughts and ideas as we move forward with this facilitation. But I'm Sonia Murray. I'm the project director, as Rolando said. There's a couple of people on the core team tonight. We have a core team of about 6 people, and I just want to introduce 2 of them to you. This is Mr. Greg Talley. He is the conferences and events specialist, and this is Michelle Simmons. She's 25 years Miami and an outreach expert. With that said, behind me are the major elements that are going to be part of this strategic plan. We started in mid-December. We're going to end at the end of September. We have been on a cannonball run, so to speak, of all kinds of community engagement that Michelle's going to talk about in a minute. Essentially, this plan is going to help drive more visitors into the region, as well as identify opportunities for different type of visitors, different types of experiences. We're looking out over the next 5 years, which is always incredibly challenging because think about how the last 5 years have changed so much here, but everywhere. Some people might think, well, you know, why does a place like Miami need a strategic plan for visitors? From the beginning of time, since Florida opened, it has been a mecca for people to come and visit. But and that is true, and it has some wonderful assets. And there's a lot we have found here that really is sort of under-advertised. So the more we peel back, it's like an onion. It's amazing. There's so much more here besides the wonderful beaches and sun. But what's been happening in the world is it's been getting much smaller, and many places are now a non-stop flight away, and many, many great destinations are aggressively going after visitor dollars, whether it's the leisure tourist or the visitor and convention person. And so there's a lot more competition out there. We're very fortunate we have a good position globally. We have to continue to maintain that, and that's why we're doing this. So having said that, part of this plan is going to help drive more visitation, but part of this plan is also going to help enhance and elevate even further GMCVB's role as the lead DMO. You know, what issues surrounding tourism can they lead, facilitate, or support? So with that said, I'm going to hand it over to Michelle, and she is going to talk about our very extensive outreach efforts.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Very excited to be this far south. without being all the way in the Keys. I've been here 25 years. I've never been to the Keys, so I don't know what happened there, but that's another story. I'm very excited to be this far because I live on the northern part. I live in Aventura, which is the opposite side, but there are so many great things. I think you guys have the best of so many worlds down here. You've got water that we talked about at our South Day Cultural Arts Center facilitation, where we were reminded of all of the bays and all of the actual national parks that are here. You've got a beautiful mural I just saw, so you're getting kind of Wynwoodish. Maybe don't want to have all the Wynwood feel, but some of the artsy feel. Great restaurant next door that made me feel like I was in the Miami Design District. So there's a lot going on this end, and we're just excited to be able to get this far and have this conversation. The community engagement is such a vital part because we want to hear from everyone across the entire county, and we have already had 85 plus one-on-one interviews with various stakeholders who have given us their input. They've been very dynamic, from professors or presidents from universities to directors of the airport and the different transportation systems. Meetings and workshops with the GMCVB management and their boards, and we will have a visioning workshop at the end of the process, which will be about around the 1st of August. 15 town hall meetings. This is number 11. 11 must be an auspicious number somewhere, but we're going to figure out where that is. We have been all over the county. So if you take a look at our roster, starting from the very beginning in March to where we are now, which again is number 11, we have decided that it was very important to talk to everyone around the county. And so this meeting tonight, this town hall event, will be specific to the things that are very important to this side, very important, and missed opportunities, very important, and maybe some things that we don't know about. But I also want to remind you that I don't want you to limit yourself just to this area. If there's something you want to tell us about the entire county, you can share that as well. Going back to our slide, we're going to end with telling you that we've had a series of surveys. One of them is Destination Next, which is an assessment that was created by Intervistas. So it's been used across the world to find out important information about destination areas. And the other surveys that we've done, we've surveyed hoteliers, just a variety of people to get their input. So we're going to start the town hall discussion with some themes. I was told I had to be very precise. Oh, there we go. I have to squat. Okay, I got it now. Unique experiences, new tourism opportunities, resident quality of life, and GMCVB new initiatives. Those are the 4 themes that we're going to discuss, and we're going to start with the first question. There we go. There we go. We're going to take about 20 minutes to discuss what are the existing tourism experiences that are not being sufficiently showcased on this side of the county. So again, just to give you some ideas, when we were in various places, we were in FIU North, and a lot of the population there were from the Haitian American community, and they were talking about the wonderful restaurants that most people might not know about. So there could be a variety of things. We know there's agritourism here, there's a lot going on, but tell us some of the things that are happening that you think aren't being sufficiently exposed or showcased. And we got 3 microphones. So
I don't think a lot of people realize that the downtown homestead, which comprises 74 buildings, is on the National Register of Historic Districts. There's only 4 National Register districts in South Florida: Miami Beach, Coral Gables, Key West, and Homestead. Okay. But we get absolutely no press about this or in marketing benefit from it.
awesome. Hold on. Go ahead.
Yes, sorry. Following up on that, Yvonne has done a wonderful job in making sure that we were certified as a Homestead Historic Main Street, and so thank you for all the hard work you put into this over the years. You know that we are truly the entrance to the Everglades. There is another entrance on the west coast, but South Florida, Homestead, Florida City, this area could be touted a lot more, one of our largest natural assets in the Everglades. I'd like to see that more focused as we are the entry. There are people that are coming to, you see hotels springing up all over the community now, and they're coming in base camping here. They'll go to Biscayne National Park one day, they'll tour out to Schnebley's and to Roberts, and they'll go to the Everglades and they'll go to the Keys, but they'll base camp here. That generates a significant amount of tourist development tax. So I'd like to see that also as part of our focus in any marketing plan coming up.
And we're the only city in the United States that is between two national parks, which is a unique thing.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm with the Historic Homestead Town Hall Museum. And I would like to say that we are one of the few cities in Dade County that has a museum. Coral Gables has one, of course downtown Miami has one. I believe we might be the only other community in Dade County that has a museum, but I could be wrong. I would like to explore opportunities for promoting our museum. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Nelly de Estrada. I am one of the owners of Chefs on the Run, which is around the corner. And we've been there for 8 years, but what I want to say is that we are backing up on what Ms. Knowles said, that we are the gateway to the national parks as well as the Keys. We get lots of tourists at the restaurant. They're on their way to the Keys or the national parks, and they stop at the restaurant because we've been people from all over the world, okay? And that's the important thing. We are the gateway to the national parks and the Keys. Thank you very much.
Yes, I went by your restaurant and I couldn't get in the door because it was so much going on. Awesome.
I'm going to add about the surrounding areas. We all know about Schnebley's, but we're becoming in the area the destination for weddings. There's a lot of wedding venues out there now, and more opening every day. And that's an area I think we need to promote down here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tyra Phillips. I'm with the Redland Community Farm and Market down here in Homestead. We have something unique down here. We have a 22-acre certified organic farm that I believe is the largest certified organic farm in South Dade, and I think that needs to be put on the map.
Thank you.
Hi, Mike Huter with Taste of Redland. I always like to talk about agriculture and agritourism down here, and that we're kind of overlooked in the sense of the size and magnitude of what we are. We're the second largest economic engine in Miami-Dade County and the second largest employer in Miami-Dade County. So that's really important to pay attention to. With agritourism combined with tourism, it puts us in 1 and 2 positions there. And there's a lot of really exciting dynamic things happening with many of the people that I see in the room here right now, particularly in those categories, talking about weddings and what Tyra's talking about with the organic market and Chefs on the Run and utilizing local produce, and Carrie and all of the things that she's trying to bring together with all of that. But it's a super exciting time here to highlight agritourism, which again is one of the fastest growing sectors in tourism across America. And more and more people that are coming in are wanting to come out and experience these things. So in the first tile that you put up, you had a lot of categories, but one of the categories that's missing from that is agritourism, is its own heading in Miami-Dade County.
Thank you.
They should have buses that come from Miami and show the farms and I can't pronounce the winery. I always have trouble with that. And I can't pronounce. And Robert is here, and the restaurants around. Make it a combination of things. They start in the morning, they have breakfast somewhere, and then go on and on. It'll be an all-day thing. Thank you.
Yes, that was mentioned at the Cutler Bay meeting, also at the one in Kendall, they were saying if we could get a group of docents who could be trained to know of all of the local spots and go around and lead these tours. Great idea. Yes, yes. Anyone else? Okay. Be next.
Hello, my name is Breezy Lisa. I am the owner of Exit 1 Tap Room in Florida City. We've only been around for about 8.5 months, and as a small business, it's very exciting. But something that's really interesting is that we forget that there's so much happening in Florida City. We're a very small place, but we're huge in possibilities and enthusiasm. We are the southernmost tap room in Florida City, exclusively selling craft beer. We're only one of 3 in the entire Miami-Dade County. And I think that's an asset for us in the South. And I think if we collaborate as small businesses, we're gonna bring more people that are really traveling for craft beer and traveling for culture. I just came from North Carolina. I flew my entire family of 12 for a beer camp because it was an exposure opportunity, it was an education opportunity. So the money is there, people want to spend it, but they also want to learn something. And I think we have a lot to offer, and we're really not on the map. So I encourage Florida City to be on that map.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Julio Guzman, and as we look to see what's going on with sometimes people pushing the urban boundary and people wanting to build out in our agritourism area, we want to make sure that we band together and we protect the agritourism area so that developers and people just don't come and start pushing this boundary out because money just trumps everything. We want to make sure that we stick together so that we can protect all of the agricultural things that creates those wedding destinations and those types of institutions. So I'd like that to be on the table as well.
Good evening, everyone. Marlon Hill. One of the existing tourism experiences that I would love to see more showcased are the little restaurants. Who has the best taco? Who has the best jerk chicken? Who has the best spare ribs? I think tourists, visitors want these unique, authentic, hole-in-the-wall experiences, and then maybe all of them can challenge each other at one of our destinations where all the organic farms are. So there could be a restaurant tour along with the farm tour at the same time, and then we can close out the night at the winery.
If I may, real quickly, we have Miami Spice. Miami Spice has done very well. Why not agricultural spice? Something that would catch the South Dade community in that melee of tourism activity, because it's wonderful. Miami Spice has done well. Well, you have a pioneer here in Homestead, somebody that I thought was actually crazy, so did many people. Peter Schnebley, who said he was going to build a winery out in a potato field in West Homestead. And a lot of people didn't believe in that. It's taken off completely. Now you add tap room. Look at Wynwood, where it was and where it is today. That cultural melting pot truly made a difference in that community. Now, unfortunately, the developers buying it up, kicking them out, moving things on, the yard, Wynwood yards and things like that. But there's an opportunity for us to get in on that ground level. And Mr. Talbert, Rolando, you folks, I would like to see more of that concentrated activity in a marketing piece. It's wonderful to see your marketing pieces with the flyby of Robert's Fruit Stand and all that. It's wonderful. But I think a direct marketing piece of some sort for agricultural tourism and agricultural spice, let's coin that phrase.
You talk a little bit about Wynwood. I don't know how many of you have visited our market, but if you come in, you'll get to see our 5,000 square foot space. It's very eclectic. We're probably, I'd say south of Wynwood. I think we're better than Wynwood as far as our decor goes and our ambiance. And I invite all of you to come down and check us out. And I think you'll get a little bit of what we are, in addition to the 22-acre organic farm. The marketplace has art, it has music, it has a lot to offer.
You sure?
I just want to share also that we recognize that all the tourists, they can't get down here, and we can't meet all their needs even if they could. What I would like to see is that there's a greater collaborative effort with our hoteliers and our restaurants up in the Miami area that are working with our farmers, and they're creating menus and they're offering Redland raised produce. So if they can't come down, have the actual physical experience and go to one of our farms, that they are actually using and helping our farmers out, because it's going to be the community that has to protect our farmers first and foremost, and we have to be buying from them. And Michael and Bill and Charles, they're all doing a fabulous job with this locavore movement, but we can't keep it contained just to Deep South Dade. It has to grow and expand, and I would love to see that that more of the businesses up in Miami are paying attention to what our farmers are doing. I know that Bill Hansen is actually coming down here, and he's joining the chamber, and he's going to be working with some of these venues like Michael has in order to highlight that. But it would be really nice if you know, the convention center or whatever, maybe put something on it there. We can bring our food up there and our farmers up there and actually highlight some things as well.
What I like about your idea too is that it really brings in, you know, these hotels are not just for the visitor. The locals come and use them, and it's the locals that are going to, you know, do the word of mouth that everybody wants to be like a local and eat like a local. So I like that. Thank you.
You know, I also want to thank Rolando and Bill for having, you know, really reached out to us and really coming down here to do this, because they, I know they really believe in this area quite a bit, and I've had several conversations with them recently, and I really want to say for myself to everybody in the room, they are totally dedicated to trying to put a focus on things down here, and I'm certain of it. But one of those things with what Carrie said is that, you know, we could try to get the quote-unquote farmers markets that are out there to be farmers markets, and we should police that more and dedicated to embracing the agriculture community, what comes from here, and not being flea markets and just you know, imports and all the other things, and the restaurants and all the other things. And I know they are working towards that, because we've talked about with the locavore movement getting people more involved, but really embracing that concept of the locavore movement, tropical fruit season, winter vegetable season, all those things that take place here. Everybody down in South Florida and the tourists, everybody have an extreme interest in those things. They want to come here. They want to experience those things. They want to go to the winery. They want to go to these restaurants. They want to eat fresh, you know, fruits and vegetables that come from here. So we need to raise the level of that. You know, everyone knows when stone crab season starts and ends. Well, stone crab season ends on May 15, and that's when tropical fruit season begins. And so we need to mark that in our calendars kind of the same, so that people know that's coming from here and that's what happens here, because people don't know. We have an outpost on Lincoln Road right now to talk about Redland, and we're there just promoting right now Redland, and we talked to, you know, thousands of people this past weekend, and it was kind of shocking. Everybody would say, I had no idea that a dragon fruit or a lychee or a mango or a guava grew. They're shocked by it. But we could get that message out very quickly, and it would really change the dynamic, to build on what Carrie said.
Thank you. Eddie Garza, MAC, Mexican American Council. I first want to echo what Marlon said. The culinary scene in South Dade is grossly underrated. We have the best barbecue. We have the best Mexican food. And we have incredibly talented chefs working at Chefs on the Run, working at Peter's Place. I mean, high-end food. Check that out. Secondly, this theater that we're in right now, this Mickey and his team have begun to present incredible programming to South Dade. He's created a theater-going culture. You can't stress it enough. And Mickey's found incredibly unique shows that are unique to South Dade, like the Homestead Miami Mariachi Conservatory, the first ever mariachi school of its kind in Florida, and the only one right now in the southeastern United States. They've sold this theater out 3 years in a row for their Merry Mariachi Christmas. I think that's something you guys should talk about. So thank you again.
Hi, I'm Margaret McGarty, and I've been in Homestead, as some of you, Yvonne, Julio, some of you know me, I've been around a long time. Before Andrew, I was here. And I've been here, Steve, and I've been here through the rebuilding. And I'm listening. These are all great ideas. I agree with every one of you, which is really unusual. I'm just joking. But I have your marketing plan. Back to nature. That covers everything. I'm also a realtor with Bishop Realty, if you need anything. But seriously, what I do hear from people, they're moving down from Miami. I'm like, where are you from? You're from Miami? Why, I can't take the traffic. There's too much cement. I want some green space. I want a yard for my children to play in. So I think we could market it back to nature. It really covers what we're talking about.
Well, in order for us to create jobs here, we got to get rid of this misconception that the city of Homestead isn't friendly to big companies. Councilwoman Bailey and the elected officials here cringe whenever they hear that. So we are doing our part to make sure we create a friendly atmosphere for big business to come down here. If any of you guys are going up to Miami early in the morning, you will be jam-packed before you get to 137th Avenue. And it's ridiculous the amount of traffic that's going there. So a way we can combat that is let's create higher paying jobs here in our city. That way we don't all have to commute up there. So if we start this friendly friendship between Greater Miami and Homestead, and you guys start promoting that we are trying to bring good businesses down here, I think that's a very good first step to what we're doing.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Pete Schnebley, and I guess when I moved down here back in 1996, I just looked at this place and I said, I don't understand why people don't get it. And when I moved down here in '96, I had come from Delray, and Delray was just changing, and you saw what happened in Delray. So I pictured this being the next Delray. I pictured this whole town being, since it has such great bones, that it has a great downtown. And I'm going to tell you what, it wasn't until they redid this theater that it really started to feel right. And we all looked at this theater and we all kept on driving by going, this is a sin. And we've had from Steve, when you were mayor, to how many mayors until Jeff finally got a chance to open this place up, and Mickey doing a great job. But this is what a town should feel like. This is where I grew up, the town that has a theater like this. And Rolando and I and Charles and Robert, we went up to New York State to see what agritourism looked like, because that's where I grew up. And we did that, 8 or 9 years ago, 10 years ago? No, it's probably more than that, right? 10 years ago? 14 years ago. And we went up there, we got a chance to go all around, and we went around how many counties, right? We probably went around 6 counties. And every place we went to, they opened up a red carpet treatment to us, and they told us what they did. And that was about a $10 billion industry back then. It's probably doubled since then. It was all based on agritourism. Back when I grew up there, people didn't have jobs that paid well. All the houses were run down, they weren't painted well. The farming industry was going backwards. Land values are going down. Homestead has so much opportunity. The Redland has so much opportunity. Florida City, this whole area. Okay, so I spent my own money to get educated. And you're right, I don't know who said it, but this is the only area, a couple people said it, this is the only area with 2 national parks. This county has 2 national parks. This county has everything that New York State has, but that was like 10 counties. This is 1 county. This is the only place that's subtropical in the United States of America. So there's things that are unique to us down here that when I came down here, I go, how come people don't get it? And when I opened up the winery, everybody thought I was crazy. And I am a little crazy, you guys know that. And thank God for Mike coming down. He's another crazy guy, okay? And Robert, man, he started it all. So, we've all bonded together with the Redland Tropical Trail and Tiva, and thank God for Carrie. Carrie, you're a breath of fresh air. But there's a couple things happening. Chrome Avenue is going to change this area. It's going to change it for the better. First of all, people died on that road and they shouldn't have died. Secondly, it's an artery to come down here. So it's going to change it for the better. And what we want to do is just work with the Greater Miami Visitors Bureau to take advantage of all those things that everybody said here and shine a light on our place. And maybe make it a month during the summertime where you come down and you experience it, or 2 months, because we have 2 great months that there's tropical fruits falling on our heads, right? Those of us that have farms. We're shipping these fruits to Chicago and New York and LA, and they don't appreciate them here in Miami. They're starting to, thanks to some of the help from Mike and the local VOR movement. Okay, so I applaud everybody that has been working hard. You can see it, and the best is yet to come. I do feel that way. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Those are some great ideas and comments and thoughts. Let's keep it going. We're going to move to question 2, if I can advance the slide.
And if anybody can tell me the lychee season, I don't get it. I love lychee, but I can't figure it out. So it's like a week or 2 weeks or 10 days, but we'll talk off. We'll talk off camera about that. Tell me when it is. When is it? Oh,
it's coming up. It's coming up.
Right before I. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, question 2. What are the tourism services or products that do not yet exist but should be developed here?
So this is a question about the gaps, right? We've heard about some of the great things that are here. What are the gaps that are kind of keeping it from getting connected? Or what's a piece that's missing to actually make this a destination when you think about South Dade as a destination? So that's what we're trying to pull from you. Yes, sir.
About 7 or 8 years ago, Mr. Roosevelt, I think, was in charge of transportation downtown, and we had a few meetings about, and I think, Brian, you were in them. I think you were in those meetings about getting one of the buses, some of the big buses, to come on down here and bring people down to South Dade, bring people down to Homestead, and from Homestead try to get them out to the countryside. And so one of the key things is really having mass transit that we can get people down here. And there was some tax money that was going to be put towards it. I think, Rolando, I think you were in that meeting too. And I think Mr. Roosevelt didn't last another month, and he was unemployed. So that whole thing stopped. But for sure, there's an opportunity to use Homestead as the hub to bring people down, and from here go out. So I think that to me is the number one thing.
Great point. Yes, sir.
I think transportation obviously is a big thing that we need down here, but I think what we are missing is to investigate, I'm not even sure if it's feasible, a convention center down here. We've got the land, we had a baseball stadium that was a white elephant or whatever. I would like to see us investigate the possibility of maybe in the future a convention center out in that area, because we have the turnpike over there and other areas, and that would definitely bring people down here to enjoy all the other things we have to offer.
Great, thank you. Other gaps, other things that when you look in other communities, what do they have that you don't have that would help pull this together?
The
Yes,
thing
ma'am.
is that they think that whenever you say homesick, oh my God, that's so far away. We have to sell that it's not so far away. You get here and it's not so far away. We're right here. I used to work downtown Miami and it wasn't so far away, but that's what has been sold. Oh my God, it's so far away. I don't want to go down there. That's it.
That's interesting. That has come up before in some of our other town halls, the perception here that the county is so distant, so huge, when in fact it's not. And in other parts of our country, LA, people don't think about it at all, going much farther than what the length and breadth of Dade County. So interesting, this perception issue is a bit of a barrier. So how do we need to overcome that perception? There you go. Yes, ma'am.
No, thank you. No, these are some wonderful ideas. And piggybacking off what you just said, a long time ago, my parents said, you need to come look at Homestead. And I was like, who lives in Homestead? And 15 years later, now I just could not imagine anything else as being home. We made a wrong turn right behind here into Pioneer Village, and we thought, yes, this is it. It just has everything that you could ask for. And yes, it seems far from people in Miami, but That is transportation. Another thing that I joked about while campaigning was some type of new motto. You know, I love the back to nature. It's much better than my joke of we're cool. You know, come to Homestead, it's cool. But it's so unique, and there are no other places like it. So some type of thing, I love the idea of the restaurants, you know, Yardie Spice has all these cool little Yelp reviews, and I think we need to tap into some younger mindsets also with some hashtags. I think that is another really good thing to look at.
Hold on. Ken Adams, and I grew up down here. Have been away for probably the last 15, 20 years. We've done, my firm's done projects throughout the world, which are major tourism, ecotourism, experiential tourism, and projects that in general take underdeveloped countries throughout the world and really develop programs that drive their economies forward. One of the big issues that I see here is a lack of a strategic plan. You know, I mean, we're all talking about all these great things, but it needs to be all tied together. You know, we can come in here and put together some great things. I grew up in Pirine, as those of us that did grow up here, you know, refer to it and everything. And you know, there's just so much that we're lacking in planning and tying it all together. If we, no offense to the people downtown, but you know, they're using downtown, and I can say this because I don't really care. You know, I got thick skin, but people downtown are worrying about downtown. You know, they're worrying about, we can put housing developments down in South Dade County. We can shove, you know, all the people down there and everything, but we're not really going to drive. What's the economy? What are we going to get excited about down here? You know, Peter and I and some of the other folks here, we've already talked about, you know, how do we move forward to do this. We've talked about convention centers. We've talked about some nice resorts. I know you've heard about water parks and theme parks and all that for years. We do it, okay? We do it throughout the world. We also do some real nice Four Seasons types projects. We did Papagayo down in Costa Rica, which is the #1 tourism attraction down there. So there's a lot of things that we can bring, and other firms like ours can bring to this, but it all starts with a strategic plan, a master plan that ties everything together. We can't just continue. Hell, you know, as a kid, we were talking about, you know, down in Homestead, you know, you got ecotourism, you got you know, the Pennicamp down there, and you've got Biscayne National Park, and tying all that together, and it's just, you know, we're still here now, you know, 40 years later, and it's not being done. So, you know, to me, strategic plan needs to be done. I hear about the information that they have readily available to share with us, and I think that we need to tap into that.
Thank you. And what Ken's saying, another part of that strategic plan, and everyone's talking about transportation, is that the subject has come up on several occasions. I have no idea what the cost would be, but to have a ferry system that would go from one of the parks, or maybe even over in the Cutler Bay area, over to Miami and back, and it could be an experience, a tourism experience. It could also be a job experience, instead of, you know, getting in the car and getting on to the turnpike and all that kind of stuff. So I'd like to, if there's anyone talking about that, I'd like to know more about that. Would that ever be viable from Miami to over here?
Yeah, we did a major project over in Doha, Qatar, worked on the Pearl over there, and we put together a real nice theme park, water park there, and it was an edutainment. We did it with Discovery Channel, but part of what we did is we put together water taxis. We brought people across the Gulf the Arabian Gulf. We brought them across from the airport versus having to go on the roadways and everything. Great experience. People loved it. Kids loved it. The people loved it. It was an experience for them to go through it. So those are some of the things we talked about. You can bring people down from Coconut Grove. You can bring people from South Beach. You can bring people from Miami proper, even Coral Gables down in Coconut Grove area. It's just a matter of putting that type of program, together and tapping in with the knowledge that the county already has.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Yolmar Armis. I definitely want to talk about bringing the youth and really bringing them together, creating a safe space for them, not only to congregate, but to create together. There is an artistic movement happening here in Homestead with the young people, and I think that we should definitely capitalize on that like they are in Miami. In the Wynwood area, we have more than enough space, more than enough places for you to create events for young people to really try and pursue a career in the arts. There's so much greenery, there's opportunities to, I just really think that having young people here would be great for tourism, for culture, for bringing media here, all of those things and the above. So.
Thank you for being here. I think you're the youngest in the room, maybe.
I want to just, this John Mills, Redland Ahead. Tyra was talking about our operation out at Homestead Air Force Base a little bit. But what Ken and others and Carrie are talking about on a strategic plan is something in the 19 years that I've been here, I haven't seen a group come together quite like this and start talking about the broader issues. We've got a lot of great things developing out here. We have a culinary arts school and commercial kitchens over at Farm Life School that has been awarding a design contract there. And we find every time that we try to get a meeting together to talk the best uses of those kinds of facilities, it's a very small group that turns out. This is the best I've seen so far, and I'm a relative newcomer. Came in here, like I say, 19 years ago, and it's just a pleasure to see the group starting to come together and talk that strategic plan that can drive and draw all these things together, rather than have it be a food contest of who gets most at the table. So, thank you.
To follow up what the young lady mentioned in regards to the arts, we've been very blessed that Florida City has given us a lot of permission and artistic freedom. The mural that someone mentioned is in our building in Florida City, and that was 100% donated. The artists that came out, they volunteered their time. We sponsored the materials, and here it is. And it's a message that we want to showcase. Welcome to Florida City. We want people to understand that we're here, and we're here to make it special for you. And I think that if we create a place where businesses like mine can come and say, okay, we have this idea. We want to make this happen. What can we do? It'll help. Right now, we kind of are spinning our wheels. I'm new to this. I'm new to the city, and I really don't know where to go. And I think a lot of you guys are old people, comers, whatever you want to call them. Not old in the years, but I mean old as being here a long time. You guys know those back roads. We don't know the back roads, so we feel we're lost all the time. So we kind of get shunned. And I understand I'm not as young as you are. You're much, much younger than me. But we get shunned because we have these crazy ideas. A mural, are you nuts? There's no murals. We're the only mural for a long... And how awesome is it that kids want to do this? I wish I knew where to go to find you guys, so you guys can continue this wall and make it even greater. So if somebody can tell us where to go.
So to add on to that, we have a 5,000 square foot space that not only do we have artwork hanging in there from a gentleman that lived in supportive housing that will knock your socks off, But our outside of our building also has a mural that just has a corner started, and we have 5,000 square feet for artists to come and do their stuff. So we want, and like you, I'm new to this. I'm new to Homestead. I've been here 3 years. But this is my passion, to bring young people in, to see what our space, we literally have a 10,000 square foot Swarovski crystal chandelier hanging in our market space with all the eclectic art, with vintage furniture. So we have a space that I think what you're looking for, in addition to what they have as well, so.
Yeah, I think definitely having the students or young people that are already here in Homestead is important to like have them come to your space versus bringing artists that are already established from Miami or somewhere else. Because we need to bring attention that there is people wanting to pursue the arts, culinary, whatever it is here, and we want it to grow so people can come here and get a different taste of Florida and what we stand for as Florida City and Homestead.
And I forgot to mention, we also have a commercial kitchen, so we have that ability to do that there too. Exciting.
Hi, I'm Hugh Hudson. I'm part of the City of Homestead Tourism Advisory Committee. One of the services or products that maybe we need to talk about just a little bit, we've already talked about our 2 national parks. One of the big problems that the national parks has is their inability to actually market. While the Florida National Parks Association does some of those kinds of things, there are really big-time restrictions on what the parks can do. And in conjunction with the GCMB, we've helped out with a few of those things, but something that we need to think about is how to market them better while they can't really market themselves.
Marlon again. One of the tourism service products that I think is missing is that this area is so disconnected. Up north, to come to Florida City, you have to like plan to travel. Well, how about a South Day trolley that's curated that can take me take my nieces and nephews from the zoo? I go to Robert's Hair. I can go to a restaurant. I can go to the Red Lang Farmers Market and then enjoy some craft beer, or go to see a show here, go to the South Day Cultural Arts Center, and then it ends, right? And it's wrapped with the Greater Miami Convention Visitors Bureau logo, and it happens on a particular day, right? Because we don't have any internal transit. We only have Homestead in Florida City, right? But we have the largest unincorporated area, and we're so disconnected. How about a trolley that can take us to a curated destination of different experiences?
I'm going to feed on that. And
okay, you go ahead.
You want, all right, Pete.
I want to, too.
And I'm thinking, we're talking to rapid transit, how miserable it is to go downtown during rush hour and how miserable it is to come home. What about going in the opposite direction? If somebody could put together a tourist industry down here, an actual viable business, you've got 5 or 6 groups in the Redland, what is it called? Redland what? Tropical, okay. Let's just say, for example, a tour could be put together, 5 stops. Maybe one time you'll come here for a play, another time they'll go to Schnebley's and so on, but I'm talking about 5 or 6 stops. Once everybody goes downtown, that busway coming down this way is empty at 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Nobody's coming this way. So if there was somebody that wanted to go into a tourist business, they could actually organize a multiple, just like he was saying here, a multiple cultural experience, including the food, including the art, including a short play or something, but it would take everybody getting together and somebody to spearhead it. And I think it would be awesome. Instead of everybody coming down here in their individual cars and meeting, everybody could take the rapid transit going the opposite way. You're not going to have delays in traffic because you're going the opposite way to and from.
Well, I know that sometimes what I say doesn't necessarily go well with what happens downtown. And so I'm just going to say it. We had a meeting, Carrie came on out, you came on out, what was it, about 2 months ago? And we talked about what really it should be. And when we talk about convention centers around the world and around the country, the convention centers around the world, around the country, the biggest ones are Orlando, Anaheim, right? Atlanta, Anaheim, Orlando, Vegas, of course. And you know what? They're not in the middle of town. They're not on an island. So we are missing a convention center that I think we really should have down here. And I know it's been an unpopular thing. I've said it, and I got shot down by our commissioner, Commissioner Moss, who's a very good friend of mine, by the way. But I believe, and we spoke about it, that there's an opportunity for us because we have so much land down here. If you look at east of the Turnpike, how much land is there that you can build a huge convention center? We talked about having the ferries that go back and forth to Miami, so you can stay at any resort in Miami. In the meantime, you're right in the middle of everything being right down here. It would be the biggest boom economically that we could have. We would instantly employ so many people to run that convention center. And then all the other business that would spur off of that. In the meantime, you're taking a water taxi to Miami. Does it get any nicer than that? No. So the ferry system right up the Turnpike, these are things that, it's a dream, but we have the land. There is no more land in Miami-Dade County. And the land we're talking about right now is not being used for anything other than growing palm trees. Okay?
So we need to move on. Actually, there's going to be more time for comments, but we need to move on to our next question. But what I find really fascinating about this, and one of our other stops here in South Dade, you, sir, Mr. Talbert, said, after listening to an evening of equally exciting ideas, said you need to come together and think of yourselves as a destination and build the plan. Again, we've got resources to help with that from GMCVB, but you need to think about this community. To be a destination, what would the plan be? What is the vision, and how do we get there and build a plan? And that really is your job. We can help looking at it countywide and what our experience has been with other communities throughout the county, but you've got to do what you've just said this may be the beginning of. Come together and build out the plan. One more comment, and then I've got to get to the next questions to get through our evening. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to say, we're in a position where we can bring the funds to the table to do these types of projects. We can do a convention center. We can do a major water theme park type situation on the eastern side and link it in with the water taxis and all that. We can put together a real nice culinary program as well as putting together the related educational aspects for that. And we don't hesitate to invest money in these types of projects. We've done it all around the world. But the community itself has to have the buy-in and has to have that strategic and that master plan in putting together the charrettes to get everybody together, to get the ideas. And people like Peter don't have to say it out loud. You know, we write them down on sheets of paper and everything, and we come back and you know the feeling. And we come back and we summarize it, and then we put together that strategic plan and move forward. But until that happens, what's going to happen? You're going to have groups like Blackstone that are going to buy a whole bunch of property, and they're going to drop something out here that isn't going to be the best thing for the overall area. There are many major investment groups out there that are looking at land down here, buying land down here, and it's not. I'm here because I love South Dade. I grew up here, and we used to whoop up on South Dade High School on a regular basis, but to me, that's the key. And people like us will come to the table and put money on the table to make it happen.
Great, thank you. With that, I'd like to move on to question 3. There's a real inextricable link between quality of life for residents and tourism. It isn't what works for one, it doesn't impact the other, and vice versa. So part of this plan, I think, has to address this question, right? How do you build forward your vision for what you want this to be that works for the residents as much as it does to look at building a tourism economy, a visitor economy here, more robust by what you all seem to want. But when you think about this plan, this needs to be in your minds, because first and foremost, you all live here and you want to protect what you've got. So how do you create that balance as you build forward for this plan? There's a lot of communities around the world that haven't done this and are now having to address it really fast and really hard because they didn't have a good balance. And this is something as we look throughout and around the county that we're very conscious of as well. And you read the headlines about some of the events downtown, some of the events in some of the other communities in Dade County, and these are some issues. These are some issues for Greater Miami. So it is a really relevant issue, perhaps a little bit less so here now because you want more tourism. But I would just say, be careful what you wish for and why a plan is so important. Because you need that balance and you need to make sure this is done in a structured way. Any thoughts about this from what you've read, what you've heard, either throughout the county or around the world, that this rings a bell for you? Sir, I see a number of hands up. Great, let's go to some folks we haven't heard from yet.
Hello, my name is Jane Olvera, and I'm with the Office of State Representative Keone McGee. I think that this goes back again to what we've been talking about, and transportation, again, would definitely be the key. We want the tourism, and we want more things happening within our city and county, but then we have all these cars on the road, like when we have the races. You know, there's no way to get home, and I live close to that area, so there's no way to get home because we have an influx of cars and people coming. The same thing when things are happening over at the Keys. The turnpike is back to back. You can't even get on there. So I think that if we go with like the ferries that we've been talking about, and definitely a fast rapid transit, like a heavy rail or a sort of that, it would definitely help keep more cars, more buses, more even trolleys sometimes off the road that will allow the residents already in the area to be able to commute as they do on a normal basis.
To touch on the transportation, I know a lot of people heard me talk about this. I'm always talking about it, but you have the CSX lines that are already here. If you look at Miami-Dade County from above, you know, the way everything is in a grid here, one of the unique qualities we have here is an existing rail line that goes diagonal across the entire county and comes directly down here and dumps out right here at the new Homestead Intermodal station that we have here and converges also with the busway. And it goes through the most populous parts of Miami-Dade County, stops at the zoo, the Fruit and Spice Park, the Tamiami Airport, the airport itself, all of it. So you already have a perfect system that all of the other ideas that take years and years and years, within 12 to 18 months, you could have tri-rail service down here, or we could engage Virgin with private money, and we've started to have that conversation with them, and I know I've talked to Ken about it, and it's to get somebody down here interested, the partnership, private-public partnership. It's already there, and the line is for sale right now, and it's for sale for a whole lot less money than it would cost to bring a busway or all the other things. The busway is a good idea because of what's happening in that corridor, and it'll be nice, but a lot of people don't want to ride the bus. People want mass transit, they want rail, they want to be able to get, and the travel time from here to downtown Miami would only be 17 minutes, you know, is the calculation because the way the route goes. So it's something that's there, and if we lobby hard for it here, it answers all the questions that we've talked about here today about how to solve this transportation problem overnight.
If I may. Hello? Hello?
You're on.
Hello? Okay. When I was county manager, it's funny because the CSX rail was something that we put together to have come down to this community. And I had, in fact, a commitment at the time for Tri-Rail to do just that. The problem is lack of planning. You said it multiple times, because the residents, the perceived residents, the vocal residents in the Redlands raised holy hell and would not allow it to happen. And so they blocked the entire project, which we had in place and ready to go. So I would recommend, before we pursue that, let's get our community ducks in a row and try to garner support for that locally, because I tell you, that's the answer. That is absolutely the single quickest answer to making it work.
Some resistance before because the CEO of the company that recently passed away didn't want to sell some of the assets. Now the new CEO of the company wants to shed specifically these assets and is looking for a buyer.
Well, you see the global investment in transportation infrastructure is phenomenal. You got Virgin coming into Brightline almost like that. And so that's going to happen. And we think big sometimes. I get yelled at for thinking out of the box. But I tell you, that's the single quickest answer to our transportation problems. But it's going to stem from us getting our stuff together locally. We can't have, a packed house full of people screaming that our environment's going to die because of it. And that's what happened last time.
Great. Let me hear from some other voices on this issue. Yes, sir. Ken.
I just came back from Montecatini, Italy, where they've got 100-year buildings that are sitting there rotting because they couldn't get local community together to plan on how to move. I mean, these are some of the most beautiful buildings that you've ever seen in your life, and they're rotting. They're literally falling apart because they can't get people together to make the decision. And that's what's going to happen here if we don't. And I know you've heard me say it, plan, 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 and then we can do it. And as far as the rail goes, as soon as we get a master plan put together and you can show the pieces coming together, getting the rail deal done is easy.
So what amazes me about this conversation is you've got the right people in the room here. They're elected leaders, they're business people, they're community organizations. So here's the start. Someone's got to grab it. Someone's got to grab it and say, we're going to put together a group to formalize a plan and start to build this out. So y'all need to figure this out. Because this is your community. Yes, sir? Then I'll come here.
One real quick statement. I went to a modification of the urban development line meeting yesterday. People would rather have tourism coming in here than having apartment buildings and condos. And I think that's the thing that we have to make sure when we make a plan that we push that. We're going to preserve the farms and so on and so forth.
What's important to you? Yep.
I'm Heather Moling from Robert is Here. There's been a lot of great things here said tonight. Transportation is obviously a huge one. I drive up and down that turnpike because I utilize a lot of things from the Kendall area, the Cutler Bay area for myself and for my children. If we can come up with this kind of plan, that's fabulous, and that needs to happen. My opinion on the growth with tourism and the quality of life for the residents, if we don't stop the urban development, like you were saying, this area is not going to be the mecca of the Redland area. We're not going to have the wedding destinations that we have here because it's going to be houses. And it doesn't matter if we add a convention center because we're just going to have a bunch of people living here in a convention center and nothing for the people to come down here and do. And so I think that's something that we really need to make sure that we're, advocating. I know there was a lot of people that went to the Saturday meeting, went to the meeting last night. It seemed like everybody was in agreement to that we really need to keep that farmland. If you get rid of the farmland, you're not going to have the tropical fruits in the area. You're not going to be able to have all these things that you say, and then it's just going to be a concrete jungle with 2 national parks. And the other thing that I want to say with this is, and I'm glad to see a young person in here as well, there's a massive lacking on the next generation coming in to help out with this. I see a lot of people, my father-in-law is here, and a lot of people in his generation. I'm glad to see Eddie here as well, but we really need to do a little more pull to bring this next generation in. I'm here for life. I've got kids that are in this area and doing this community, but if we don't raise leaders that are in my generation, it doesn't matter what you guys plan because it's not going to follow through. So, thank you.
There's been some really great ideas that have been bouncing around, Ken. I really appreciate your input. There have been plans, strategic visions, so to speak, that have been developed by this area. The problem is that they were not followed. And I think that that is something that we need to consider. You know, you're going to put a plan or a vision together, you need to stick with it. You need to not undermine your overall vision, because to my way of thinking, there has not been a vision here in the Homestead area for a number of years. And you have all of us here, we all got great ideas, but we're not working together. So that needs to happen. That's what Ken has said. That's what a number of other people have said. That's very important. We have to, I don't know, I'm recently retired. I'm not familiar with the business environment here. I'm not familiar with the South Dade Chamber of Commerce. I don't know the roles that people play, but it seems to me that there's too many individual actors pursuing their own agendas, and there's not an overall pulled together group that's focused on something that needs to be get done, because you can't have horses pulling in different directions. Thank you.
I think almost everyone in here is a member of the Chamber, and I want to thank every one of those members for coming out. I also want to offer up an apology. The last several years, the Chamber has not been a strong chamber. We've been more focused on events and things of that nature. We haven't been focused on what's really important. And part of me coming into the Chamber was to turn it around. And a shameless plug, your membership is so vitally important, and at all different levels, because we represent all of Florida City, all of Homestead, all of Cutler Bay, and all of the Redland. And the only thing that's keeping us from hiring an economic development expert, and that's really what you need, is we need an expert in the chamber. And there are other cities that actually, they help a chamber to underwrite someone like that. But we could have someone, we're struggling, we're getting over the hump of not doing our job very well and getting new members. But this is what we're looking at inside the chamber. We're right across the street over there, and we truly are here to make, you know, the business, everyone's business, our business, and see the entire community, and especially what's happening in the Redland, that is very delicate. We were just at a meeting last night where there are some folks who want to push back the UDB line for the Redland. We have a military affairs committee, and they do the very thing for the military, what we're developing inside the chamber for the Redland, to protect it, because Charles is, you don't have a life anymore, you know, because of everything that, you know, that green space that everyone is seeing is, a lot of people see green dollars by it. And if we do this and do this right, so I just want to say that, you know, thank you, Rolando and Bill, for seeing the value in partnering with us. And we want to do so much more. We just need to get over a little bit of a hump. So if anyone has suggestions, anyone wants to become a trustee member of the chamber so I can hire someone, just let me know.
Great. Well, that's actually an excellent segue for our final question, because I am conscious of your time. We want to get you out of here on time for the rest of your lives. But question number 4 is really just that, about the Bureau itself. There we go. When you think about, again, our scope, we've had a great conversation here tonight. A lot of what you're talking about is kind of out of our scope. It's something that you need to do as a community. Again, we may have resources to help with some of that, but you as a community need to come together and figure out what you want to be and how you're going to get there. But given the fact that we are the entity in charge of sales and marketing for tourism, both leisure tourism and business tourists for the entire greater Miami-Dade County, what else could we do as an entity to support where you may be going, where you want to go in the future? So we want to hear what else you think we may be able to do. Are there other initiatives that we could either lead, support, or simply convene a group of people together to talk about some of the issues that may be the bigger issues that would help you get where you're trying to go? Great. Couple of hands up. Yes, sir.
Well, I participated in Miami Spice and I'm going to participate this year in Miami Spice, and I think it's one of the most successful programs that I've seen done. And so I think somebody mentioned it already, so it's not a new idea. But why don't we have a same kind of program for down here? Why don't we take 2 months and call it whatever we want to call it, but have it the same kind of program as Miami Spice? So we're shining a beacon of light down here for everybody that lives from Broward down and from Key Largo up. Because I tell you what, state tourism, or whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of people. There's so many things to do here that they don't know about us. So I would say that would be the number one thing. Secondly, if anybody wants to get together, I will supply the beer, the wine, and the food free. If we want to get together and have another roundtable discussion, just do it after Lychee Summer Celebration.
Great. I saw another hand. Yes, sir.
Yeah, creating a category specifically for agritourism. Yeah. So that category in itself, because all of this kind of falls under that. So in the first tile that you had up, you had all the different categories that you support, and that seemed to be one that wasn't there. And then that kind of falls in all of the programming from Robert is Here to Peter and the Lychee Summer Celebration, tropical fruit season, winter vegetable season. All those things can fall under agritourism, and all these events could kind of go under that umbrella specifically. And again, it's the second largest economic engine, so it's a huge category.
Great. What else? Right, ecotourism, agritourism, exactly. Yep.
I second what he said. That's what I was thinking. If you could help us promote that.
Right.
Because I think we need to, pardon me, maybe clean up the perception of Homestead. And that we do have wonderful, awesome things to offer. And no offense to anyone, convention's a great idea, but please build a convention center on the east side of US 1. Preserve our ag land. And I'm glad to hear about the urban boundary line meeting. When you overbuild, you destroy the lifestyle. And if you've ever gone to college and studied ghettos and city planning, when you overbuild and you take away the green space, you destroy the quality of life. So.
Great. One of the things that also has come out from some of our meetings is, and you've echoed it here, Florida residents don't even know what's here. So one of the things is, again, in looking at how do you start talking about your community differently, how do you start positioning your community from a perception standpoint or changing those perceptions, and then how do we start connecting while we're doing the great kind of Found in Miami, all the different things about the communities. There are all these events, great events, fantastic events. But how do we get that word out about these events across the state or even just the contiguous counties to let people know there's these things happening on a local level literally every week? And that there's no central clearing space for that at all. You kind of have to hope somebody stumbles upon it. And so whether there's something in there that helps bridge across the county, what's happening if I'm interested in tropical fruit this week or whatever it may be, there's no place that you can really go search on that and you get a kind of a county-wide listing of in the next 2 weeks, here's what's happening in that particular interest area you might have. Whether that creates some opportunity, because that would work for residents as well as it would work for visitors, to be able to start slicing and dicing some of our things by that. Yes, sir.
I have a specific ask. If you'll remember, Mr. Talbert, after 9/11, your agency worked with the county, our office, to put together the staycation packages of promoting people to, within our community, to get out, spend dollars, and kind of survive that turbulent time after 9/11 and the tourism drop. At that point, your office did a spectacular job in helping to coordinate a large county. I think the gentleman said it back here. We've had studies. Remember Vision Council? Remember the Vision 2000? And there was one recently again. We've had study after study after study. And let's talk fact. the splintered community that we live in and the different factions of people that we deal with on a daily basis killed every one of those studies. So we could study it to death. I think Commissioner Bovo one time sat on a stack of transit studies that looked, you couldn't see him sitting behind the dais because we were studied to death. I think coordination is the important part. We know as we move forward what we can do to better our community from a tourist standpoint, which will then trickle down into other things, economic standing and the like for our residents. I would like to ask our chamber, a trustee membership is what, $10,000 now? And down. I mean, there may be, and we could probably hire an economic advisor for something like that. I would ask that the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau think about helping our community coordinate that very effort. It will be an investment in your future tax stream. It would be a relatively easy sell to the larger part of our southern Dade County, and I will help sell the rest of it, because that little $10,000 investment into helping us spark a coordinated effort of all of these groups. Now, there's going to be a lot of yelling behind the scenes, and we'll do that privately. But that is an important aspect. We don't have that right now. And I, quite honestly, I see us, this is the best turnout I've seen in a true discussion meeting in a long time. And I'd like to capitalize on this. I'd like to move this again to the next step. So please, sir, if you will consider that. I'm sure she will be talking to you tomorrow about it.
Brian Canessa, Tropical Everglades. We operate the Visitor Center on US 1, 31 years next month, and I've seen all the issues. I've been there 16 years. When I got there, our battle was having someone come from a car rental. South Dade was not on their map. We were off the map at 152nd Street. So we've had these discussions. We've met with Rolando in downtown. We've like Peter mentioned, looked at busing and transportation, transit. That still is number one. But to what was raised earlier, to keep it short, the perception is, we're missing post and pre-cruise. When you fly into Miami Airport, everything points east. So it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes south. So in terms of marketing plan with the Greater Miami, I'd like to see something along the lines. South Dade is not so far, something simple like that, or 30 minutes from anywhere. But we need to look at marketing that goes to that point.
Thank you. I want to make a quick comment, and I hope I'm not going to get into trouble because so I've been coming down here for 30 years, both for work and for pleasure, and honestly, until this project, I just had no idea how very, very cool this whole agricultural piece is. And I know it's been here for a long time, but there's so much of it that's so nascent and coming together. And also, culturally in America, we do want to get back closer to food. And this is so interesting to families and to all kinds of people that are just interested in, hey, how is my food grown? Where is it grown? How can I eat locally? I think about this place, and it's short distance from Miami when there's no traffic, as almost the same distance as San Francisco to wine country. Now, it's not wine country, but, I'm sorry. I don't mean it like that. I mean like Sonoma and Napa, it's not like winery after winery after winery. But what would be so cool is, people don't think twice about flying into San Francisco and then making that drive. If there was a map, when we came down here today to just scout around, we didn't know where we were going, and stuff is spread out, but like having some kind of a great map that just shows this farm does this. Here is the organic salmon that's happening here. Here is do you know what I'm saying? I think that could really help elevate the awareness beyond, Florida, which is a great visitor market itself, but there's so many people that come here every year, and they just kind of drive by and go to the Keys. And so I think the GMCVB can very much help that educational awareness role, but sort of having a content map would be good. But I wanted to ask the question, how does the Speedway kind of link into this community? Any thoughts, any comments there?
I just wanted to
kind of mentioned, I attend a lot of the chamber events in different areas and stuff, and I think you can hear that there's a passion and we don't have a lack of events in the area. So what I would kind of challenge the GMCVB is, we welcome you to come down here and host things. That will take the pre-notion of it so far away that businesses from Fort Lauderdale or from downtown can travel down here for a chamber meeting and see the facilities of all of our places and it not be so far away.
Thank you.
Anyone else on this question? Yes, sir.
Well, since Robert didn't take the mic, we started the Redland Tropical Trail how many years ago, Brian? 06. We started Redland Tropical Trail. So it's a simple map. We all got together. We met in each other's living rooms. We all pitched in $3,500, and we created a map that each one of us has at our place. We have ancillary members because we realized that everybody, there's a Robert is here, or Schnebley Winery, or Collie Square. So we have skydiving, we got hotels, and we got all other things that are on our map too, because people would come down to the Redland and they would get lost. And sometimes they go and pick a piece of fruit that they thought was okay because it was on the side of the road, but it was actually somebody's property that they shouldn't have been on. So we try to make it simple. It's been around now for a long time. We actually got state signage, which because of Brian is, it's really a major feat that a small organization like ours did that. So, I think expanding the Redland Tropical Trail to have more ancillary memberships, take that map. Homestead joined the Redland Tropical Trail, and I think it could be, the map already exists.
Thank you.
Great. In the interest of time and getting you on with your lives, we have hit that point tonight. And Mr. Talbert, I wondered, based on your experience and everything you've heard here tonight, for some words of wisdom.
I don't know about words of wisdom. I'm going to keep my tie off. A couple of things. I want to give a shout out to Mayor Steve Shelley. I know he couldn't make it tonight, but he's been instrumental in getting a lot of things done, including the Everglades trolley. So I want him to know that we feel, yeah, let's hear it for him. We've been to a lot of these meetings, and this is the most positive one I've ever been in. Generally, the meetings were people fighting each other, fighting us, and so this is how progress is made. This is a new building. You have, and by the way, ladies, I'm the youngest old guy in the room. Okay, just look at these ladies back here. Come on, this is the future. They've been smiling, they've been happy, they've talked, they've had ideas. This is the future, so that's I'm pleased to keep at it, okay? Will you promise to keep at it? Thank you, ladies. There's a great future. I mean, we have always been part of the solution, not part of the problem. You've actually pointed out some of the unique qualities of South Miami-Dade. You're the only place in the country with 2 national parks. The only place in the country with 2 national parks. You've got great water. You're the entrance to the Everglades, the main entrance to the Everglades. You have the southernmost winery in the United States. Right, Peter? Schnebley is recognized. He's part of that brand called Miami, right? Took a while, but the overarching brand is Miami, but you're the Redlands. I also want to give a shout out to Steve Haas, wanted to be here tonight. Steve is with Centerplate. He's working at the convention center, but he's doing the farm to convention center. He's really made that connection, right? That's been a great, really Steve is taken that and it helps his work with the convention. So remember Steve Haas. There's a lot of great opportunities of partnerships for some economic development opportunities, but I'm bullish. I stay at all these meetings because look at this. Every one of these takes on a different flavor and different folks, new folks, old folks, investors. I think there's a great future ahead for this community, and we're gonna make it happen. So this is what it's about. You know, Steve said earlier, I'll repeat, well, you're going to release the plan tonight, huh? No. We want you to tell us what to do in the future. So great ideas. And so on behalf of the Bureau, I also want to give Jenny Gutierrez a shout out. She's a South Dade resident. She's now working with her grandchildren, but she's still part of the family, a South Dade resident. But we have great future. It's going to happen. The Bureau is going to be a great partner with you. I make that commitment. Thank you very much.
So the last thing to close this out is there is a website that if you want to provide additional feedback, we encourage that, destinationmiami.org. You can also send emails with additional thoughts, strategic plan @gmcvb.com. This is an ongoing process. Our timeline is to finish this engagement process, the additional town halls. We'll be working with our board of directors, which includes Steve Haas, by the way, who I know has been working with a lot of key folks to ensure that our convention center showcases some of our best local fruits and produce. So hopefully that's going to move forward. So at our annual meeting, which is in October, is what we're scheduling the official release of the plan, and then we're hoping to then roll it out specifically to some key groups. Speaking of groups, I wanted to put an exclamation point. I've been with the Bureau for 20 some odd years. I've worked with TIVA. I've worked with the Homestead Florida City Chamber before it became the South Dade Chamber. I know there is an Economic Development Council that is also focusing on some issues. The key for leveraging the Convention and Visitors Bureau is a unified voice. You know, for us, we get pulled in so many different directions throughout the county. We just need to know what is that one, horse that we can latch on to. And it may not always be, and because someone used the horse analogy, pulling in different directions. That is really a plug-and-play way for us, and for us to remain focused. And perhaps there is that group that has re-energized itself, and we look forward to working with that group and all the groups, but having that continuity, that consistency, and not just having these great ideas and plans sit on the shelf. So with that, thank you. There might be some extra food. Wait. Yes, and it's not up there. It's #Destination Miami.